Security is always a challenge for dealerships. Our retail locations are often large, and there are lots of valuable assets that are difficult to secure. In this episode, we're going to talk about 5 outside of the box security steps that you can take to better protect your dealership.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about security again. We've talked about security in a previous podcast, but in this podcast, we're going to really focus more on specifically criminal threats to your operation. And all dealers that have been around for any length of time have dealt with these type of issues. They are kind of inherent with the business. Dealerships are often large operations, and they inherently have a lot of exposure. You have valuable assets in terms of your inventory, in terms of parts, in terms of business assets, cash and valuables, computers, electronics, and your people. And your operations are difficult to secure. You often have multiple entrances and exits, lots of different doors. You have lots of people involved. You have both a lot of employees. These are employee-intensive businesses. And you also have a lot of foot traffic customers, people coming into your dealership to do business with you, vendors. And then you also just have the general public that can literally 24/7 walk through your lot. And it becomes kind of a security enigma. It's very difficult to figure out how to secure and protect your dealership. There's a lot of traditional things that have been done to help protect dealerships. We have camera systems, we have alarm systems, we have fences, we have different things that we've tried to do to better protect our assets, but none of them are perfect. And unfortunately, security is a human business. There is no 100% or guaranteed solution to any security problem. But in this episode, we want to talk about 5 outside of the box things that you can consider to better protect your dealership. The first one, window security film. Window security film has been around for a long time, but it's not very well known, and that's a pity because it can be really advantageous when you have large windows that have been broken in the past in order to gain illegal access to your business. Security film makes it extremely difficult to break through a window. It does not make it bulletproof, but what it does do, if someone goes to smash through the window, it contains all of the broken glass such that they can't easily pass through it. And it can take someone with properly installed window security film 10, 15 minutes of hammering with a crowbar in order to break through, in order to step through a properly secured window with security film on it. And it's not particularly expensive. The most famous window security film was developed and is sold by 3M. The 3M window security film is a premium product, but there are off-brand products out there as well, and they're not very expensive, especially relative to the value they're protecting. Now, they can be difficult to install, and optimally, you may want to consider a professional installer for them, but it's an easy way to add a lot of security, make it harder to break into your business through large windows. Second, outside of the box idea, motion-activated lighting. Motion-activated lighting can be a great deterrent to criminal activity outside your dealership on the premises. And I like it better than keeping really bright lights on your entire dealership that stay on 24/7 or at least only at night. What it does is when someone steps onto a portion of your lot, lights activate, it gives that person a perception of greater exposure, and it deters at least a good amount of criminal activity that way. Now, the key to motion activated lighting, this is one area where you have to test it out. You can't go cheap. You need reliability from motion activated lighting. What I recommend is to have at night a low base level of lighting. So I don't want the lot to be dark, completely dark. I want to have a low base level of lighting and then motion activated lights that dramatically increase the lighting exposure when anyone steps onto the lot, and it literally follows them as they walk around the lot. Test it out, make sure it works. The worst thing is motion activated lighting that doesn't actually work. Third, outside of the box security step you can take, actively monitored security alarm systems that are tied in with the camera system. These are services that monitor both your alarm system and cameras, such that if an alarm is activated, the cameras can be checked to verify if there is an intrusion. Now, almost all dealers have some sort of security alarm system. Unfortunately, security alarm systems bring more peace of mind to business owners than they should. In alarm activation to the local law enforcement is typically their lowest possible law enforcement priority. A B&E, or a breaking and entering alarm, is a very low law enforcement priority. It may not get dispatched at all in some areas. However, alarm activations that are verified by camera are often dispatched as crimes in progress. This means that the alarm monitoring company has the ability to look at cameras, see an intruder, dispatch that to law enforcement, and as a crime in progress, that is a pretty high law enforcement priority in most jurisdictions. Fourth idea, hire security for nighttime property patrols. Now, there are lots of security companies out there. Most areas have multiple security companies dueling for business. The thing with security is quality matters. Quality is an issue. You want to interview multiple companies if possible, and find a company that you trust and like and can give you a good security plan. One thing that you want to understand is the role of security. The role of security is to observe and report issues, to contact law enforcement if they see an issue. They themselves are not law enforcement. Their role is not to physically detain people. Their role is to observe issues, and if they see an issue, to report it to law enforcement. Optimally, you want to find a company that has a plan to conduct security rounds on your premises at night and have a round verification system in place. This is some sort of system of card stations or some other system that verifies that they're actually physically going onto the property and observing all of the important security locations on your property. It should have produced an electronic record that can then be monitored after the fact. Now, one thing to think about, especially since a lot of dealers are located on the same street or in proximity to each other, if you have good relationships with your dealership neighbors, talk to them about security and potentially pooling costs of a nighttime security patrol service such that they're visiting multiple dealerships along one route, and it might be able to give you the opportunity to negotiate a lower cost to a nighttime security patrol service. And then the fifth thing is costs nothing, but most dealers don't do this, and that is making reports to law enforcement when you do have crimes occur on a consistent basis. So, as a rule, if it's a crime, you should be reporting it to law enforcement. Even if it's a recurrent crime, even if it happens often, we're talking about stuff like thefts from your dealership. Whether it's a small theft or a big theft, if it's catalytic converters, report all of those when they happen, when you discover them. Now, Some jurisdictions, they may want you to just make that report online or by telephone, and they don't want to send an officer out. And that's okay unless it's a serious crime. You want to build that record, though, that at some point in the future may result in investigations, arrests, and prosecutions. By making those reports, it sets you on the path to building a deeper relationship with your local law enforcement agency. It's affecting their crime statistics. And law enforcement leadership wants to drive those statistics down by both reducing the incidence, reducing the number of crimes reported to them, and clearing, that means solving the crimes that are reported to them. Those are statistics that are really valuable in most municipalities that their law enforcement leadership is looking at. So by making those reports, you're making sure that the law enforcement agencies are understanding that this is an issue for your business and your industry, and they can then drive resources to address it. However, if you don't make those reports, nothing's going to change. Consider those 5 easy to implement, for the most part, steps to better secure your dealership. Good luck. And with that, it's been another episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.